Hello everyone, welcome to my corner of the world and another card. So I'm going to work through some ideas to create a card for a 12-year-old. Not easy, but I've got some ideas that, as I say, I'm going to work through. So I've chosen some nice bright colours. I thought that was a good start. And I'm going to use this set. Now it's a combined die and stamps. It's got three sort of stamps with it. So that's what we're going to focus on today. And I'm going to start by just stamping my greeting on this piece of white cardstock. Now I'm using A4 card, but this will work equally as well as if you're using letter. Now let's see, why can't I get this undone? There we go. So I've cut my card at 11 3/4, so you can just cut at 11, and I've got 4 1/8 for my base, and you can do 4 1/4, and then you can just cut your other layers like 1/4 inch shorter all round, and that will give you your layers. So that's my greeting. That's as much as I'm going to do on that one. And then I'm going to emboss this piece. So I chose this nice cheerful embossing folder. It's got some lovely sort of starbursty flowers, and so we're just now then, I wonder, I might need to use 2 plates for this one because it's a thin embossing folder. So let's put one on the bottom and one on the top. If you're new to embossing, always put one of your plates on top of your embossing folder. Otherwise it curls up. It doesn't stop it working, but it's a devil to actually to store, because this will actually curl up on itself. So that's that. So we've got our piece here, which I think is really pretty and cheerful. And I'm going to attach it onto there. That's my start point. And let's get some adhesive. I've got so many bits for this card. I do like to start sort of sticking some pieces down so that I don't lose them. So here we are, just a little adhesive there. Right, so that's my start point. So I'm going to set that aside to dry for a few moments. And then I already cut out 2 of these pieces. And I'm going to stick them together just to make a thicker piece to work on for the little technique. I'm going to do a couple of techniques on these bits just to sort of make it really spectacular. Well, hopefully spectacular, because I'm thinking that, you know, 12-year-old, they're kind of the halfway between being like sophisticated but still you know, like some cute younger things. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking. Hopefully I'm right. All right, so that's that set in. And again, I'm just going to let that set for a few minutes. And I just realized that I need a piece of card. This little die goes in here, and I need a piece of card. I think I might just do this nice little mauve colour. So if I had thought about it beforehand, I would have cut it out of this before I actually stuck it down, but there you go. So we'll just cut this piece out, and I'll just use this with this, and we'll just slide that through and get that cut, so we've got the pieces that we need. Right, there, let's see. I think that's going to go quite nicely with that. Right, so I think that's all my bits, and I already cut the birthday, and so we'll just use a little adhesive to attach the birthday, and then that can be drying while we do the next bit. Fortunately, these adhesives dry really quickly, so I think that'll work. There. And then eventually we'll stick that on there like that. So I have been experimenting with some other supplies, and I've got these. I found these, and they call them tri-blends, and they've got 3 different shades in one. So it looks like they're all like bullet points rather than brush tips, but let's see. Let's work on this. I'd much rather work on this. So if I do my stars yellow, so these are alcohol markers. And as I say, this is the first time I have come across these and used them actually. So, and then I'll do my candles. There we go. So I think that's that bit. So maybe what I'll do is do my bows. Now this is magenta. Oh, not the camera. So let's do bows. Ooh, this is like a bubblegum pink. All right. And obviously the ribbon attached to it. Oh, that is a bright pink. And there must be something on that piece of card because it's not quite taking it. So let's do this one. Let's see, this is called Magenta Blend, but it's more of a bubblegum pink for me. But hey, now these are going on really smoothly. Yeah, I'm liking these. So I just want to say though that I am not endorsing these products. I am not getting compensated for using them in any way. They're just something that I've come across, and I just thought, well, I'd share with you when I'm using something that I've not used before. But these going on really smooth. So let's see if let's go for the darker colour, and we'll do these. Oh, that's more of a magenta to me. But that's a nice colour. So if you were maybe colouring in flowers and you wanted to shade the petals and things, then these look like they might just be nice. Okay, so that's that. And let's try the middle one now. Let's do something with these cakes. Yeah, I'm liking these. Right, and I've got a mauvey one as well. So we go for the light. Yeah. All right, so they blend in quite nicely. We do the edges of the box. Although, actually, there's not a lot of difference between the pink and the purple there. Right, so we're nearly done with the bright and vibrant colours. And I just wonder whether we need to do, let's just use this middle one. We'll use the middle one on the cake. Wow, this is a wild cake. Well, I think with my next idea, it'll probably tone down a little bit. So tone it down a bit. Okay, so there's my colours, and I think that that's really going to sort of pop on there like that. I think that'll work. So my next technique is to put some glittery stuff on it. So this is Winker's Stella. Let's see, I think it's coming down. There it is. Pop it on there. So this is a new one, so that's why it took a few moments for it to come down. There we are. So we just put a bit of glitter on there. Along with cards for fellas, you know, cards for young people, definitely my area that I am not at all good at. So that's why I tend to steer clear. But when you've got family members with children, you kind of have to get stuck in. So hopefully if I lift this up, you should just be able to maybe pick up a little of that glitter. And then we're going to do another thing. I'm going to emboss this with clear embossing powder. So I'm going to do that by right. Let's see, everything in camera shot. Yeah, I am going to do that by flipping this over and sticking it into my Versamark pad. Make sure I've got a good sticky coverage. Okay, and then we are going to add some embossing powder. Let's get some tweezers. Make sure that we've got embossing powder on everything. I think we have. Then we're going to pop it on here and heat it up, or cook it, as I used to say to my ladies in my classes. You need to cook it now. So this is going to melt in. I'm not so sure you'll be able to see it too much. But it's going to give a lovely shine. And I can see already I'm going to need to do it a second time, and I'll show you in a minute why I think that. Okay, come on. That's it. There's a lot to cover in here. Right. So the reason I say it's going to need a second coat is I'm hoping you can see this, but maybe not, but you take my word for it. When you look at this white piece in here, can you see it's more like an orange peel effect? Well, another coat should get rid of that. So let's just wave it around and to sort of dry it a little bit. And this is part of the reason I decided to double this piece up, was because I figured that it would take some handling. I would have to do some handling, and a single layer of card might just have been a little bit too delicate for all this moving. So we'll put some more embossing powder. This is just an clear embossing powder. Just, oops, dab it in. Let it pick it up. What did I do with my tweezers? There they are. And see if we've got a good coating. I think we have. I'm going to move that out the way. We're going to bring this back in, and we're going to repeat. Okay. And the reason that I've got this little tray covered with tin foil, aluminium foil, is that it protects my work surface, but also it pounces the heat back up again. It doesn't absorb the heat. So hopefully you can actually see now that we have a solid glaze. And it's glazed, and you just see a little bit of the wink of Stella coming through just to give it a little bit of subtle shine. So that is my other technique that I wanted to share with you. And look, that just looks so nice sitting there like that. Yes. Now then, shall we pop it up on embossing on little pads, or shall we let it be flat? I think I might pop it up. So we'll use some small, she says, here they are. We'll use some small ones because then we'll be able to sort of pop it behind some of the elements as well. Let's pop one down here, and then we'll put a couple in the middle like that. Maybe we ought to put a couple there just so it doesn't sag. Right, let's get those backings off. You know, I have a habit of chucking these bits on the floor, and then the other day I looked at my floor and it was covered in them. Not surprisingly. Well, in my old craft room, I had a wooden floor, and it was easy to brush up or hoover up. In this one, I have carpet, and although we've bought a little vacuum cleaner thing, it doesn't like working on carpet. So I have become really careful about what I throw on the floor these days, because I had to get down on my hands and knees and pick it all up. It was not fun. So yes, I've got to be far more careful and mindful about what I do or don't do. Okay, I don't know what you think to that, but it's coming on, and I think for a young person it might just fit the bill. Plus I've experimented with that new die set, and we've talked about a couple of different techniques, and used some new products, and seemed to have been worked with them quite nicely. I quite like them. Now, I'm not entirely sure there's enough shine on that, or bling. So I do have some little sequins that we could put on that would go nicely. So we'll just pop a couple of little sequins on there, and we'll then say we are done. Maybe I could put a little sequin on each of those bows just to give them a little bit of a feature. Let's move you out of the way. Oh yes, that was perhaps a good idea, Sind. Now come on, move back to the middle. Oh right, so this one's decided it's going to be a little bit of a monkey. There we go. Okay, I'll leave it on this mat because you'll be able to see it better. So there we go. I'll just move. I just wanted to make sure you were in shot. Okay, so there we have it. Cards using some dies and a couple of techniques. I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, perhaps you'll just go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And I'd like to really thank you for choosing to spend some time with me today. And I will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye for now.